Hey, thanks so much for finding the video. Do us a favor. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. Be sure to leave your comment. We love to interact. Enjoy the video. Reaction to the Saints using the tag on Marcus Williams.
I think the tag is a surprise just because we know the salary cap gymnastics that they're trying to get on that pommel horse or the rings or the floor exercise, whatever kind of gymnastics you want to talk about. But there's no doubt that they wanted to keep Marcus Williams. And I think this goes to show you that they're willing to do it. Now, they do have time to lower that number of $10.5 million, which is a one-year deal for next year. If they get a contract extension done before free agency, that number can drop. Of course, they can do it even after free agency, but obviously it would be beneficial to somehow drop the number before, just because you would not have to chop elsewhere or restructure elsewhere. But I think the Saints didn't want to take any chances. And so by tagging him, they showed Marcus Williams, hey, look, they want you there long-term, and they'll get a deal done. But it depends on when they do it as to how beneficial it will be for the Saints, because if they do it, say, in June, it's not certainly as helpful if they do it in a week, which is basically when they'd have to have one done when free agency would start.
Do you think that's realistic to get a new deal done before the start of free agency?
I think it's probably challenging because if you had the parameters of a deal that was ready to go, you'd do it now. So I do think that, look, deadlines, spur action, maybe the Saints go a little deeper than maybe they would want to with Marcus Williams just to make that happen. But usually I can't remember a before free agency where someone who was tagged and you got a deal done quickly thereafter. I can't really recall a situation where that's happened.
Is it a safe assumption that this decision to tag Marcus Williams means that Trey Hendrickson's time in New Orleans is done?
I would assume that, yes. I don't think they were going to consider tagging Trey Hendrickson by any means, but if they're going to spend on one guy, they were going to spend on Marcus Williams and see what else happens elsewhere. Because, I think Trey Hendrickson, while he had a really great season this past year, measure each of them. Marcus Williams has been a 4-year starter. He's been good to very good to great at times with the Saints. Of course, we know the flaws of a play here or there that's always punctuated, but still, he's one of the better safeties in the NFL. And we've seen the Saints with life without a good free safety. It's called 2014 to 2016, where it was Jarris Byrd and then a bunch of band of jokers when Byrd couldn't play.
So basically the band of jokers because Byrd never played. He sucked.
He was not very good. And that's what happened. Remember that contract? They went 6 years, averaging $9 million a year on that deal, and they let Malcolm Jenkins walk, and he got half that money and went on to be a Pro Bowl player in Philadelphia and won a Super Bowl title for the Eagles.
They've got about $55 million to go between now and the start of free agency next week. Yeah. So how do they do that?
Well, you could go Quan Alexander, that chops $13 million off. You could go Malcolm Brown, that chops $5 million off. You could go Janoris Jenkins, that chops $7 million off, so that's $25 million there.
Just $30 million to go, Larry.
Hey, you could chop Emmanuel Sanders. That's if you just chop him, that's $4 million. If you trade him, that's $6 million. If I'm missing someone like say Patrick Robinson, you gain $2.5 million. I know I'm missing someone.
Latavius Murray.
You chop him, that's $2.5 million.
Murray, prison.
And then you go into restructure mode, and that's what you do. But it's. We're talking a lot. We're not talking superstar names, but we're talking about people that were good pieces to the puzzle that the Saints know that they're going to lose one way or the other.
Larry Holder's with us, theathletic.com/New Orleans, and his latest piece up right now at The Athletic is a 53-man roster projection for 2021, and I will give it to you, my friend. This is ambitious, a roster projection before free agency or the draft, but you took a stab at it here. All right, let's start with some obvious questions. What were the most difficult challenges here as far as personnel that you had to weigh?
Look, the first thing I just need to say is I got one thing right. I kept Marcus Williams on the roster, so
Good.
I got that one.
Congrats. Congrats. You did nail that.
Yes. I would say the temptation to look at free agents and say, well, he would work, but then you're thinking, I don't even know if $3 million is too much to pay for somebody. So it was a massive challenge trying to figure out what free agents I would peg to the Saints. And let's look at this exercise in the fact that it's not necessarily, oh my gosh, all right, I'm taking this guy, he's going to be on the roster. It's more about where I think they might look free agency and the depth where they can look free agency, and then looking at the draft and saying, all right, I would assume or think they should draft players at X position as opposed to going somewhere else. So I know you're hung up on one guy.
Well, you do have a dynamite Sazerac reference right there in like the second line. So I'm very glad because I have a bottle of Sazerac here on the desk every day. But you do have the Saints drafting Kyle Trask. And for that, I want to discredit your entire exercise because that's just not smart.
It's not smart if you're taking him with like the 95th pick in the draft. It's not smart?
No.
Why?
Because he's not going to be a good NFL player.
Oh, Matthew.
Yeah?
You don't bank on every third-round pick being like the greatest player in American history, but I feel like there are traits that would fit him as quarterback within the Saints offense. I don't say he's got to be a starter. You would, okay.
I kind of feel like a few months ago you were telling me that the Saints should trade up in round 1 to take him. Now you're telling me he's going to be a third-round pick. By the time we get to the draft, what's he going to be, a seventh-round pick? What's he going to be? The kid Stevens out of Mississippi State, they got to trade back in around 7 to snag? Is that who was going to be come round 7?
Look, just because Kyle Trask is going to play quarterback and guard for the Saints, it's not a big deal. You bulk him up, let him beat Jared Lorenzen, and then you just mix and match him. Look, it's, again, Matt, it is more about the point that I think the Saints are going to draft a quarterback. It is less about the point that it's Kyle Trask, but the fact that it just bothers you so much, I just feel like it's my crusade to push Kyle Trask to the Saints.
So you do, something that LSU fans will like is that you do have the Saints drafting Tyler Shelvin out of LSU and then also drafting Cam Sample and picking up Ryan Kerrigan in free agency. So really the bulk of your moves there on the defensive front. Explain if you would.
Yeah, and I definitely pondered, say, taking defensive lineman earlier in the draft, someone like Jalen Phillips from Miami. I had him down and deleted him like 5 times as maybe someone I would get as an edge guy. But no, I took Shelvin because I figured he might be a third-round pick. You're going to need nose tackle depth because I'm assuming Malcolm Brown will be gone. And the only guy I really look at that's on the roster right now that plays nose tackle, not say the 3 technique where David Onyemata plays, but nose, is really Shy Tuttle. And Tyler Shelvin is a big man, and to me it feels like he can come in and play. And then you mentioned Cam Sample. I've seen him play a lot watching Tulane. I think he is a prospect that people are sleeping on. I think he could play inside or outside. Like he's like 275, but I feel like he did a really good job with Tulane, and I feel like he's someone with versatility you can kind of mix and match. And I had him in my mock 53 manner as a 4th-round pick. So, and then you bring in Ryan Kerrigan. I think you're going to need someone rotationally outside of Marcus Davenport and Kyle Granderson and Cam Jordan. So go get a veteran guy who he wasn't a starter last year for Washington, but he did have 5.5 sacks and maybe a change of scenery. And I feel like the price tag for a lot of these guys is not going to be super high. So again, It's not just I'm saying, hey, bring in Ryan Kerrigan. It's bring in someone of his ilk at defensive end at a cheap price tag.
Before you go, I notice you don't have Russell Wilson on the Saints roster, so why are you wrong?
Why am I wrong?
Yeah.
I'm correct. What do you mean, why am I wrong?
Well, because Russell Wilson's going to be the Saints quarterback.
They're banking the future on a third-round quarterback out of Florida named Kyle Trask, just like Seattle did with a third-round quarterback named Russell Wilson. Duh, Matt. Read the tea leaves. That's it.
He's Larry Holder. He's wrong, but you can read all of his wrong stuff at theathletic.com/New Orleans and follow him on Twitter at Larry Holder. Thank you, and thank you for your flexibility today.
Yeah, you got it. And no better way to encourage subscriptions to The Athletic than saying, read my wrong stuff. I think that is like my headline for life, right?
You did reference Sazerac, so I'll give you that.
I referenced that like before the fold. Like that was a free one.
I know, right up there. Well, you mentioned India Pale Ale. See, so I did actually read it. You mentioned IPAs, and you mentioned Sazerac. They'd have to upgrade the IPA to a Sazerac, which is a better option anyway.
Both are like my two favorite beverages of choice.
Hey, that's good to hear. You and I will pour a Sazerac next time I see you, and I'll look forward to it.
Damn right. Good deal, bud.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.